Hello and welcome back to Fieldstudy HQ. In today's video I'm going to be showing you a simple recipe which will transform your foraged greens into a delicious weeknight meal. Stay tuned. It is November, and though we are going into the darkest part of the year, there is still lots of good, tender, delicious wild vegetables out there in our hedgerows that are good to forage for right now. And I'm going to show you what to do with them. Over in Greece, there is still a rich culture of foragers and foraging, and they have this word which I absolutely love, which is horta. Horta. My pronunciation's probably terrible. Horta refers to a mix of wild green vegetables that are usually served as a side dish with lemon and lovely Greek olive oil. Oh. But today we're going to make them into a traditional pita. So pita means pie. This is hortopita, so horta and pita, wild greens pie, basically, and it is the wild countryside cousin of the spanakopita that you may have had on holiday. So spanakopita is made using spinach and is delicious, yes, however this takes it one step further. These wild greens are not only more flavourful, they are more nutritious and all round just better. So I prefer hortopita to spanakopita. Come at me in the comments. Step one is to prepare our wild greens. So in this basket I have a mixture of lots of the wild greens that are available at the moment. We've got stinging nettle, which is super abundant down here in the south of the UK all the way through the winter. It can stand a frost, and we get these lovely little shoots up until the heavy frosts come in about February time. So there is a lot of time for you to go out and pick delicious, nutritious stinging nettles. We have cleavers, which are starting to pulse through our hedgerows at the moment. They're really high in vitamin C. We've got some sorrel for a lovely lemony kick. So this mix is going to make our pie filling. So I'm going to grab these out of here. I've already washed them and prepared them. It's really important when you're cooking with wild ingredients to sort of wash and prepare everything. And just pick through it, make sure you've collected what you think you've collected and that there's no sort of like damage or pests or anything on it. It is a beautiful thing that we get to pick and choose the vegetables that we eat rather than just, you know, getting what comes in the plastic wrapping at the supermarket. It's one of the perks of being a forager. Wow, that sorrel is looking amazing. These dandelions are too. So these delicious plants are going to be making our pie filling today. I'm just making a pie for one about that size, so I'm probably not going to need all of these, but it's always best to pick a few more than you think you're going to need because greens always cook down to nothing. So water in a pan and add a pinch of salt. So we're starting to season right from the off. Now into your salted water goes your stinging nettles and your dandelion leaves. Now dandelions are a bitter vegetable, there's no two ways about it. The young leaves like this are slightly less bitter, but they're still quite bitter. So cooking them helps the bitterness, but it's all about balance. You want to create a sort of mix which is palatable to you out there. So yeah, taste it as you go along, see how you feel about it. We should be eating more bitter veg, by the way. Things like dandelions can help us regulate our insulin levels. They are very, very, very good for us, but more on that in another video. So add our stinging nettles and our dandelions into the pan and just boil them for a few minutes. So if you say horta to lots of Greek people, this is the flavour that they sort of associate with it. Dandelions go as quite a big part of all of the sort of horta mixes that I have come across. So yeah, this sort of overlooked vegetable that we don't really eat in the UK. We know we can eat it, but we sort of see it as a famine food. This is doing the heavy lifting in lots of Greek cuisine, like rustic Greek cuisine. So they've had a couple of minutes now, so we're going to add in some of our more delicate greens. So I'm going to add the tops of these cleavers just into the top of the pot there, so they'll steam nicely. I want those to go soft, but I don't want them to stew. They can go a little bit vegetal. So I think that's all we're going to need. I'm going to take the sorrel out of there and our beautiful bronze fennel for a little bit later on. We don't want to boil those two things. They go in at the end like a finishing herb. So Oh, smelling excellent. Smelling exactly like cooked sting and nettles, which is exactly what it is, but it's a really homely sort of smell for me. I love it. Whilst they're just ticking over, they're going to be a couple more minutes. We need to get to work on the rest of the filling. So Greek cuisine, there's a lot of sort of onion or garlic going on. So what you can do is you can substitute those for wild alternatives. But if you're in the UK and you want to make this a little bit wilder, instead of using a white onion like I'm using today, then you can use 3-cornered leek. You can switch it out for wild garlic. Well, mild garlic season gets going in a few months. Very excited for that. But yeah, so we need to add some onion and some garlic, so I'm just going to slice those. So you need a couple of cloves of garlic and about half an onion. Oh, nice one. So these are done when they are sort of malleable. This recipe really relies on you having sort of workable greens. So I know I usually say that you don't want to overcook sting and nettles, but these you need to be relatively soft. So these, I'm just going to put these in a bowl here in order to cool down. Now that's very important. So these are lovely and cool now. This pie filling could not be simpler. So we need to take our greens, we need to squeeze out some of that water. You see how much water's in the bottom there? That is no good. We do not want floppy pastry. So we get rid of that. And then just sort of fluff this apart a little bit, and then we want to add some feta cheese. This is going to add some protein, it's going to add some richness, it's going to add sort of beautiful, rich, salty cheesiness to the finished dish. It is really, really important, and it is one of the things that also makes this hold together as a pie. So do not scrimp on your feta cheese. To bring the whole thing together, add your onions and your garlic and a beaten egg with a generous grind of cracked black pepper. Now is the time to add your herbs. So we're thinking Greek, right? We're thinking lemons, usually. So this does well with a little bit of lemon zest put in and stirred through. Lovely stuff. A little bit of lemon juice as well, maybe. However, this is Fieldstudy. So we're going to use this, the lemoniest thing that we have growing wild in the UK, and it is sorrel. So roll this up, slice it nice and finely, and it will give a lovely bit of acidity to our Hortopita. And then top notes, so we want a little bit of aromatics in there. Traditionally, usually dill would be used in a spanakopita, hortopita sort of thing. So we're going to use its cousin, which is this bronze fennel that I've got growing in my garden. So again, this could be quite overpowering. It's heavy anise, but what we want is a little bit of balance. So we're not going to use that much of this in there, but I want it to just create a little high note on the thing, some treble on the top of it, you know what I mean? Something a little bit different that's going to make this fresh and delicious and lovely. So let's scatter some fronds of that in there. Wow, so that is our filling completed. So far so good. You might be thinking, I thought you said that this was a weekday meal. That seems like a lot of faff. Well, here we go. This can be frozen. So you can freeze little individual portions of this filling, and then whenever you're stuck for something to do, you can get yourself some ready roll pastry and you can make yourself a little hortopita. There we go. A beautiful, wild, seasonal dish that you can throw together on a work night. Lovely stuff. In fact, even when you put the pastry on this guy, you can then freeze that entire thing and then cook it from frozen. Even simpler. All you got to do is heat up your oven. So this is a lovely little thing to do for yourself on a Sunday afternoon. Future you will really be thankful halfway through the week. So let's put this to one side, have a little reset, and then we'll think about assembling the pie. So a big player in this story is this, which is phyllo pastry. Everyone agrees, from the top chef down to someone like me, life is too short to make your own pastry, especially phyllo. It takes a long time, but you can go to the supermarket and you can buy this stuff. Makes it super simple to create things like this to cook for your family. And yeah, it's really, really convenient. So we're gonna get some of this, which is sort of ready rolled phyllo pastry. So it comes like this, these beautiful sort of sheets of it, really, really thin. You don't want to handle this too much because if you warm it up, then it will start to sort of disintegrate in your hand. So you want to keep this as cold as possible. So then we want to put these layer by layer in the bottom. The beauty to the sort of delicate crunchiness of phyllo pastry is in the way that it's layered. In between the layers, you want to add something like olive oil, like I'm using here, or you could use melted butter, and just put that in between the layers of pastry. So just a little drizzle of oil and then brush that into the layer and then add your next one on the top of it. Beautiful. It'll sort of go transparent like glass, and you know that at the end of this, you're going to have some lovely crunchy pastry. 4 or 5 layers on the bottom, and then we add our wild greens. Tuck those little guys in there. And then I'm going to do about 7 more layers on top to make the lid. And just grab these bits from over the edge and sort of tuck them in. This will create a whole layer of beautiful crispiness on top. You want to make sure it's got a nice little bit of oil on there. Oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? All that's left to do is stick this in a hot oven, like 180 degrees for about half an hour. Keep an eye on this top bit. You don't want these crunchy little bits to burn. Stick on an episode of whatever it is you're watching. Light a fire, that's what I'm gonna do. And yeah, just give it a little bit of time. And when you're done, you'll have one of the best recipes for wild forage greens in the entire world. This is a recipe that makes it easy to eat seasonally. So the wild greens that we forage for change at different times of year, and this delightful little recipe can change along with it. It's really versatile. And because of that, I think it is a true expression of the landscape, which is what all good food should be, in my opinion. My name is Joseph, this is Fieldstudy. If you enjoyed this video, give it a little bit of hype down below, and for more foraging and recipe videos, hit the subscribe button. And as always, until next week, take care.